I was wrong about the OnePlus 8 Pro. I really was. You see, to be completely transparent, OnePlus did send these devices a few weeks before launch, and as I was playing around with them, I wasn't really impressed with the camera performance. I thought that it was running a beta version of the software. Something just didn't add up. I mean, especially for a $900 smartphone, the photos looked abnormal. As you can see, it didn't process my skin tones accurately, the dynamic range was really bad, and it lacked contrast. However, it did manage to capture true-to-life colors. Now, OnePlus did roll out a software update 1 week before launch, and they asked us to test these phones after that update, but unfortunately on my sample, I didn't notice a huge difference in the camera performance. Basically, wasn't that great at all. In fact, if you caught my OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro hands-on video, I compared it to the 7 Pro and the 7T, and the results were, again, really weird. But fast forward a couple days later, post-launch, and I get a notification on the 8 Pro. It's a new update, and supposedly it's set to improve system stability, also fix a few bugs here and there. And then under the camera update, it said that it was going to improve the camera shooting experience and stability. I installed it right away, woke up the next morning, realized that it was a beautiful day outside, and I decided to just go out for a walk. Now, mind you, I am still under quarantine. I live in an area where there's not a lot of population, so streets are empty, and there's not a lot of interesting things to shoot, but I came back home, started reviewing these photos I shot on the 8 Pro, and I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the results coming out of the smartphone. It literally made the cameras on the 8 Pro go from worse to one of the best that I've ever tested. As you can see, the dynamic range is excellent. There is great detail in every image that I took, and that's thanks to that new Sony IMX698 sensor. I'm really surprised at how OnePlus managed to deliver true-to-life colors with great white balance. The ultra wide-angle camera really surprised me well, guys. I mean, it's a 48 megapixel sensor, so basically they took the main sensor from the 7 Pro and jammed it into the 8 Pro and gave it a wider field of view, and the results just look amazing. You guys be the judge here and let me know what you think about these photos. The telephoto lens produced amazing results. I didn't notice any color shift between the three sensors, and while telephoto might not be one of those features that a lot of people might use, I myself find it useful, especially as a photographer. I like playing around with different focal lengths. Having that ultra wide, wide, and telephoto helps me experiment with different compositions, and getting those lines straight, it just satisfies my inner soul, if that makes any sense. It probably didn't, but I just wanted to put it out there. Now, one of the drawbacks of implementing a larger sensor into a smartphone is the plane of focus is so thin, so it's difficult to get everything in focus. I remember Marques talking about this issue in one of his videos. You see, by default on the OnePlus 8 Pro, the main camera is a 48 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f1.7. That's wide open for a really large sensor. So when you're shooting closer subjects, the center is perfectly sharp, but as soon as you examine the rest of the image, you'll start to see it blurred out. Nothing really is in focus. And if you really think about it, it's essentially portrait mode, but in a more natural way without any software enhancements. Speaking of portrait mode, yeah, it's still not good. I think Google and Apple are the only players getting that right. I wouldn't even touch that option on the 8 Pro. The selfie camera has improved as well. There is good detail, color, as well as good contrast. Low light performance is surprisingly really good too. That new Sony sensor doesn't give up on detail, guys, which is awesome, and the dynamic range is still intact. I even tried Nightscape, and the results were very much comparable to my Pixel 4. Yes, that is a keyboard on top of my washer and dryer. I just gotta improvise somehow. I mean, hashtag quarantine life. Moving on to video quality, I honestly can't complain, guys. I mean, for a $900 smartphone, this exactly meets those expectations. It shoots 4K up to 60 frames per second, and you can use the ultra wide angle lens to shoot video as well. HDR kicks in nicely to expose the highlights, and these were all shot handheld, and they look like they were on a gimbal. Again, this is all thanks to EIS and OIS on these sensors. So the results really do speak for themselves. It's just too bad that OnePlus wasn't able to finalize on the camera software before launch, because that would have made it a little bit more easier. But I'm finally glad that they were able to address some of the issues that I had with the 8 Pro when it launched, which was just this past week. So that's all I have to say. I mean, it's just amazing to see, fascinating to see what software update can do to a smartphone camera. It can either break it or make it even better. So on that note, thank you so much for watching. Also, I am looking forward to that iPhone SE2 comments down below. I'm aware that Apple just announced a $399 smartphone. It's awesome to see them getting into the mid-range smartphone market. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Take it easy, guys. Stay safe, spend responsibly, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.